in continuous flow and harmonization of the magnetic fields and electromagnetic fields in our universe that pull us into this divine essence of co-creation. This dynamic frequency is drawn to us to create the wholesome essence of our beingness, to fully be transformed into this multi-dimensional being of a crystalline frequencies that connects us as one with source and or multi-universe. Crystals, crystals everywhere. Now upon thinking of what a crystal is, you might just think of this solid material that you often use in your spiritual practices. But let's first just define what the terms crystal simply mean. Crystal is a solid material with geometrical shapes and patterns formed by particles of atoms, molecules, and ions, that simply gives us this multidimensional material that has so many uses, such as our quartz crystals, which we use so frequently in our day-to-day spiritual practices. We will see that crystals takes many shapes, versions. For example, you may not have looked at a snowflake as a crystal material. You may not look at an ice cube as a crystal material. You may not have even looked at the diamond as a crystal material. So we see that these different variations and shapes and patterns of crystals used in our day-to-day practices, not just for spiritual purposes, as we will see, it's also to connect us fully to our source's essence. So we will see as we delve deeper into this topic that we will discover that crystals are actually electromagnetic and magnetic technology here for this dynamic use of divine co-creation. So some very, I should say, day-to-day crystal examples might be, I mentioned the quartz crystal, we have the amethyst, we have, the shangite, we have the magnesite, we have the pyrite, we have so many different versions of many different crystals used in our day-to-day spiritual practices. The smoky quartz, so many different crystals. I'm sure maybe many of you have crystals for this very use. But we're gonna expand today on the topic of what a crystal really is and what's its use based on its multi-dimensional frequency. So as I've discovered through my own research, I've seen that this crystal template connects us divinely to source, as we of course are crystalline beings here on earth in our human form, as our body architecture is simply made of this crystalline templates within us. And so we are the divine conduits here on earth, connecting the magnetic fields that lies beyond the depths of the earth, on the earth, surrounding this earthly plane, and connects us to the divine plane of the electromagnetic and electric fields that lies beyond the depths of the earth in the universe of multi-universe. So wow, this topic of crystals and its multi rise in our atmosphere and stems out into a greater universe. We see that the crystalline templates within the earth, within our bodies, and on a greater scale, out in the multidimensional universe, are in a continuous flow of divine energetic frequencies to continue this co-creation process. For example, the plasmic field out into our Milky Way galaxies is in continuous flow co-creating the solar flares that comes from our dear sun. We see that, wow, the electromagnetic field is continuously drawn to the magnetic field out in the wider universe and also the one on Earth to be in continuous flow of the co-creation process. So we see, for example, we have crystals such as black tourmaline, smoky quartz, pyrite, the quartz crystal, which is, the main crystal, I would say, being used in so many different things. For example, in our spiritual, healing practices, you use the quartz crystal in so many different versions to transmute certain energies. You use these quartz crystals even in computers, and it has served so much multi-dimensional frequencies of, or spiritual essence to transmute so many different energies in our field. So we see that, wow, the use of these crystals, first of all, these crystal templates are being continuously co-created on an earthly plane and in our multidimensional universe. So does this electromagnetic field contains, as you would see, this electric field, out here in our atmosphere and in our galaxy is in continuous flow to use this form of co-creation to draw up this magnetic pole from this earthly plane to co-create. We see that, of course, we are the beings here, these human beings, encoded within our DNA as crystalline light beings, to be conduits of the fields of electromagnetic rays and magnetic rays to form this sort of co-creative process here on Earth. So we can see that we have these, should I say, light pulse frequencies within our DNA. We have so many different crystalline templates encoded within our brain. If you study the brain more, you will see that there's a lot of electrical. Why do you think that you're always having to take a pulse when you go to a doctor, or if you're in the hospital? They're always connecting you to this, technology that sends these signals into your body to see if you still have a pulse, if you're still living. So we are automatically these electrical sorts of beings from our brain, from our heart, different membranes and cells in our bodies. So we are these vessels here on earth that are able to easily co-create and deal with these energetic frequencies, to use this to our advantage, to continue to co-create effortlessly. So the crystalline technology, yes, you use it mostly, I see today people use it for spiritual purposes, but many people do not see the vast use of crystals and its multi-dimensional purpose to continue to transmute energy, continue to connect us with the magnetic and electromagnetic fields on Earth, continue to help us be in this co-creation essence of continuous flow So an ever-changing electromagnetic field then goes on to create all magnetic fields. The magnetic field is simply a field which we are able to attract. The term magnets stems from this magnetic field, as we could see that the magnet is being drawn to a certain object effortlessly because it just has this, should I say, energetic pull and frequency that connects it together, an energetic pulse. So we see that, wow, the magnetic field, not just as I've stated before, that is co-created from ever-changing magnetic field that stems from our multi-dimensional universe. But we see that on our earthly plane, we are in continuous flow with our magnetic field. So we see that beyond the depths of the earth, we see that is made of crystalline templates that rise beyond. For example, I could give you the simple example of diamonds being made from the pressurized heat of charcoal beneath the depths of the earth. We know that many crystals, in the crystalline chambers are formed in the sea. So we see that even the ocean, through so much, should I say, geothermal energy and in the coral reefs dimension, there are many crystals being birthed. Now we won't go too in depth into the creation of that, but the point is to say that there are crystals and crystals everywhere, and so we see we are beginning to recognize that we are, of course, the vessels being built on this crystalline template that you could see is birthed within us in our DNA from our very structure in our cells, in our membranes, from the atomic particles that lies within our body, our bloodstream. And so it has been noted that even our brain and our heart is in continuous flow of this magnetic field. That's why the practice of using crystals in our healing templates and in our healing protocols is so frequent because we are magnetically pulled to this crystal because we are divine crystals ourselves within our body vessels. And so we ought to see that, wow, it is very vital and important we get back into a wholesome essence. By that I mean taking very good care of your body and trying to go back into your most dynamic crystalline template, ridding yourselves of toxins and different things that have been implanted into your body over the eons in course of time, and getting back to your electrical body system by eating the right foods, of course, by being surrounded with crystals that will magnetically and electromagnetically rid you of unwarranted toxins such as EMF rays, many different, should I say, for example, the foam, we are being continuously warned of certain things being planted into the foam that causes EMF rays, and it's not so good and healthy for our bodies. So we ought to now connect deeply with certain different crystals. I could tell you a very good crystal that is very good in terms of just transmuting. It's very neutral in resisting any sort of unwarranted, should I say, radiation and anything from EMF rays. It's quartz crystal. We have also the Shanghai crystal, which is very important for this. But you could go out to many different crystal shops and see different variations of crystal. But the most, should I say, dynamic use of crystals is to continually help us flow and magnetize into your fullest, wholesome, co-creative essence. So now you ought to now see yourself as the biggest crystalline template here on earth. You are the most dynamic crystalline protocol here on earth. And it is up to you to use this, should I say, earthly crystals, that have been pulled from the magnetic field and the electromagnetic fields to your advantage in your co-creative process. We see that, wow, crystals are so multidimensional in its uses and practices that it should be used in our day-to-day practices to just be in this continuous flow of magnetizing and pulling out this, should I say, effortless form of co-creation that is drawn within us. Now, we ought to see that we have to remain deeply connected to the electromagnetic field and the magnetic field in order to work. So whether it is that you go ahead and draw out magnetic crystals that will help you, or the electromagnetic crystals that will help you, but always see to it that you being this conduit of your own body vessel in this crystalline technology, it will be easier for you to co-create. So the best way to go out and do it is to get into your healthiest version of yourself by ridding your cells of this toxic fluids that have been placed into your bodies. You could do this in so many different ways by doing so many different detoxes, whether you do it on certain, like, should I say, like, you decide when it's best for you. You could do it weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, but it's best to get back to your most healthiest and, should I say, divine version of yourself. So see to it that the crystals have been implanted all around you to help you actually in your co-creation process. The crystals are in fact good transmuting energetic templates to help you to not just transmute energy, but also to magnetize energetic frequencies around you in your co-creation process. So next time you take a look at a crystal, see to it that, wow, it's a very, very dynamic object here. But now connect the crystal not just from the earthly plane and the multidimensional plane. Connect it within yourself. See to it that you are the biggest crystal template here on earth, and you want to restructure your body vessel that creates this wholesome essence of your crystalline template so that you can easily, magnetically and energetically flow into magnetizing and pulling within yourself and around you the co-creative fields that you desire. So let's just see that, wow, have been given this very multi-dimensional structure of crystal to be in continuous flow and harmonization with the co-creation process here on earth and also in our multi-dimensional universe. Crystals, the most beautiful source of co-creation, to effortlessly help us magnetize and flow so effortlessly with our multi-dimensional